And what is up, you guys? Welcome to the Raptors postgame live show, The Wraparound, where we're doing something a little different today, and we're breaking down the game from last night because it was pretty historic, and I didn't catch most of it, and it deserves just a little bit more analysis. But before we begin, I just wanted to shout out all the people that viewed the video last night. It was our highest viewed ever. And much kudos to everybody who liked and subscribed and watched. It is the reason that I keep doing this. I have fun with it on my own, but it's always good to get a sense of, building a community, building a channel. So big ups to all you out there. Thanks for your continued support. And if we're being honest, there's a bit more competition than I thought when this channel started. There's a lot of more Raptors live stream stuff. I think ever since we won the championship, there's been a hyper focused, hyper sense of building interest in this team, which is awesome, and we should support each other as a community. But look, this show's pretty gritty. Like, we don't have the special effects of a Sportsnet now. We don't have the special effects of a Yahoo Canada, even though those guys are awesome. They do a great job. But I'll give it to you here the honest way. One mic, one computer, a couple co-hosts, and we'll see where this thing takes us, because it's all unvarnished here on the Wraparound, baby. So let's take a look back at what the game was when it was at its worst for the Raptors last night. So I'll take you back to 2 minutes, 30 seconds left in the third quarter, and it was 85-55, and things were not looking good for the good guys. And things started to turn. So that was their lowest. That's the 30-point mark that everyone's been talking about today and last night. And a couple things started to shake out. So this is when you start to see more of the bench guys, and they start to really turn it around. So most notably, once we hit that mark, you see a lot of Rondé getting after loose balls, second effort that he's known for. So he's getting after them. Lowry starts hitting threes. And you're seeing a lot of Chris Boucher doing good things. And I talked about Boucher last night. Love his game, and you'll see why in a second. So he has a good interior presence on Maxi Kleber, when he tried to drive late in the third. He was aggressive to the rim driving. Even on the Mavs broadcast, they were saying he's a live wire player, which is a pretty big compliment, I think, for a bench guy, right? You want to have that energy that kind of jumpstarts the team. And he blocked a three there late in the third quarter, which I mentioned, or I saw more than once, which is super, super impressive. Again, made a note about Rondé's second opportunities. Like, he gets out there and hustles. Like, I was too young to watch JYD during the Vince days, but I imagine it was something like this, where he just gets after everything. Like, somehow, I think he's like 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". I don't have his height in front of me, but he seemed to be out-rebounding everybody and getting all the scrappy loose balls. So, love his game. Pick and roll. Kyle and Boucher was good late in that third, early in that comeback. And all of a sudden they were down 21 instead of 30. And that's when you started seeing the full court press come out, and they swarmed everybody and tried to do it without fouling. They obviously fouled a couple times, which, what are you going to do? That's what happens when you play a more aggressive style. But it was at this point that it really seemed like they came out with, like, if you didn't know what the score was in that moment, you would have thought we were tied or that we were down two, because they played like they were still in it. Like, it didn't click for them mentally that they were down 20 plus, because, I don't know, you feel that you watched them play and you just felt like a confidence about them. And that was super. And it's maybe because I know the outcome of the game that it seemed like that. Like, I was kind of biased towards how they were playing. But wow, you could kind of feel it. And I think the Mavs broadcast, that's the one I was rewatching on, I think they could feel it too. They could sense that Toronto was coming on, and they started to believe that they could actually make the comeback and win the game. So full court press was in full steam. You saw Kalo take a charge on the sideline in the middle of that stretch. And again, you started seeing the Boucher-Lowry pick and rolls. So either he's getting to the rim as a layup or he's getting fouled. And he got fouled a lot. It seemed like he fell a lot. I can't say enough about Chris Boucher. I really think that he brings some sort of energy. And so I'll quote athletic writer Blake Murphy on this. He wrote an article today about how he defines entropy. This guy's like, when things are chaotic, that's when he like really picks up his game. Like that's when you notice him more, because I guess in the more traditional sets, maybe he's out of position or like can't finish if it's a clean half court set. But like when they're full court pressing and he's blocking threes, like it just seems that he's everywhere and he's swarming. So credit to Blake on that, because it's kind of true. It seems like in the middle of all that chaos is when he thrives. It's just like he's the agent that will block anything. He'll drive, he'll finish, he'll get fouled, and it might have been his best game as a Raptor, apart from that Lakers game in LA earlier this season. So there was a Terrence Davis 3 that was like, I think 1.2 seconds left, and it was like a dead clock. Almost. It was almost a 24-second violation. He goes up, hits it, and or doesn't hit it rather, and gets fouled. So that was kind of a bailout. And then Chris Boucher blocked a 3. So that was the second time I wrote that down here. So he blocked one earlier, I think that like late in that third quarter again. So he blocked 2 threes. And yeah, he's tall, but like 7-footers don't usually make it out to the 3-point line and block threes. So awesome. Just awesome stuff there. At around the 8:44 mark, you saw Malcolm Miller, almost said Malcolm Butler for some reason, Malcolm Miller take a steal and during the half court press about midcourt, immediately shovels it over to Terrence Davis. He doesn't hesitate, hits a 3. So I have that with 2 exclamation marks here. They basically brought the house down with that transition, and I don't know exactly how much they were down by, but that really made the crowd believe if they weren't believing already. There was a drive where Lowry's faking the pick and roll. So once they established that with Chris Boucher, he kind of fakes it and then pulls a hardened step back, steps back behind the 3-point line and hits it. And it's just like, you could tell he's in full Kalo mode, like doesn't overthink anything, just in the rhythm of the game. They're taking that away. Okay, I'm going to shoot that 3 as soon as I step back behind that 3-point line. On the defensive side, we were switching really, really good late. Like Boucher can really go out there and cover their smallest dudes. I don't know if he can cover point guards, but I think he was guarding Tim Hardaway Jr. there at the top of the arc. And they're committed to it. They had the energy. Good on them. Another Boucher pick and roll at the 7:04 mark left in the fourth, and he got fouled. It seemed like whenever, I'd love to see the NBA.com stats that say basically how many points per possessions for every Lowry pick and roll action, because it seems like either it was a layup or it was a foul, and it seems super, super effective. Like Porzingis, I would say, is like pretty close to what Boucher is in size, height, wingspan, all that stuff, and like he couldn't. It's almost like he wasn't long enough, which is weird because he's like one of the ganglier fellas in the whole league. Lowry had another stutter step, like he destroyed Dorian Finney-Smith on one of these drives. Stutter step, step back, and one, like fully taking over as like a number 1 option. Like he looked better than Kyrie does on offense out there. There was a point at the 6-minute mark where Rondé just out-rebounded KP, or like didn't rebound it, but like tipped it, and that was kind of incredible to see. Like there's your microcosm of how these guys were hustling last night. Awesome. And then you saw Lowry weaving at about just under a 6-minute mark into the defense again and just laying it up. Like they couldn't stop him. He embarrassed individual defenders, and when he was in actions, he made the right play constantly, like over and over again. There was another Boucher affecting an alley-oop. So it wasn't a 3, but kind of like a long stop pass towards the bucket, interrupted that. So that's 3 times basically that he either tipped a 3 or an alley-oop in this stretch. And then right after that, Rondé cuts along baseline and ties it up at the 5:28 mark. So that's basically the breakdown from the 2 minute 30 seconds left in the third all the way to 5:28 in the fourth is when they shored up a 30-point gap, which is just incredible stuff. and it was all bench and Lowry. And those units are just awesome. We'll keep this short, but I don't know how they're going to function tonight if Lowry gets a break. He's not a spring chicken anymore. We'll see how they play out. Indy's not an easy team to play, but they're also on a back-to-back, so hard to say. I'm sure they'll be in it. I'll look up the line right here. I don't know. I imagine Indy's favored, I guess, by like 3. Oh, they're favored by 7. So, yeah, I think that's taking into account injuries. The money's pretty heavy on Indy. Let's get ready for a good one. If we were in the Mavs game last night, if we're not too tired, we might bring it tonight. The starters, as I mentioned yesterday, played less than 30 minutes, all of them except Kyle. So they should be fresh and ready to go. So I'll be back here after this game. And again, thanks everyone for watching, subscribing, liking. Always happy to see that. Always a good sign to continue building this pod. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you a little bit later.